This is the Dover Download Podcast. My name is Christopher Parker, and for the past 25 years, I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from, and talking to a variety of volunteer, staff, and community members. This podcast explores conversations, activities, and a variety of policies and programs which exist here in Dover to improve the community in one way or another. The city of Dover has a vast and complex network of infrastructure. We want to maintain that infrastructure and grow that infrastructure where we can, and we do so strategically. That's all pulled together in our capital improvements program, which is something the city council and planning board review and adopt in the fall and early winter of each year. We're going to take a look now at two projects that have been through the capital improvements program, one that is underway and one that will be coming underway. We're going to be meeting with the project managers for each of those, Matt Gibbons, who will talk to us about the Court and Union reconstruction project, and Jamie Stevens, who will talk to us about the Henry Law Payne Street reconstruction. Gentlemen, welcome.
Morning. Morning, Chris.
So, Jamie, let's start with what's probably the longest pause of a project. And I say that because I remember in 2004 when we had a design for the lower Henry Law Avenue project, and we put it on pause for the waterfront, but that's going to resume, right? We're going to pick up that project and move forward?
Yep. We're in the middle of final review for 100% plan design and working through some final details, minor discoveries, and we'll hope to have that, I think, out to bid towards the end or end of January.
Now, one of the things that has changed since 2004 is the recognition, both locally and I think nationally, about the importance of stormwater management. And if I recall, that's probably the biggest change that we've seen in the plans is that Kleinfelder, the design engineer, has really put more effort into stormwater management and really capturing the whole drainage area of Henry Law Avenue. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate. Much like the waterfront, there was a lot of state-of-the-art stormwater treatment elements utilized and installed on the waterfront project. One of the things that's changed with Henry Law is the massive stormwater treatment facility, which will be beneath the earth in the park area.
So it'll be in the area where the swimming pool was, right? Sort of by the deck area, the overlook area?
The former swimming pool, yes, Chris. In basically the green space, it'll exist subsurface, and the user won't even know it's there.
Am I correct that you said you're at 100% or just about 100% design? That must mean we're going out to bid soon to get a contractor on board.
Yeah, so we're in the final phase of any edits that have to happen to 100% design. I believe we just went through another round of commenting, and I think the mindset is to try to get it out shortly after the first of the year for bid.
When do you think that you'll start seeing some earthwork?
It all depends on how the contractor procurement goes and so forth. I would probably say we'd be breaking ground next year, 26, at some point. I don't know if I can offer anything more detailed than that.
Okay. How about length of time? Is this a 2.5 week project? Is it an 8-year project? Somewhere in the middle?
I think it's a phased approach, Chris, being cognizant of the park use and stuff as well as that. So, no, I'd say, 12-month build cycle, something that's that vicinity for the most part. I don't know if we have firm timelines on schedule yet, but that's what I would venture to say.
We'll circle back to some of the more details, but I want to turn to Matt now. Matt, you're working on the Court and Union reconstruction project. That's been underway for a couple of months now, right?
That's correct. The city selected SUR as the contractor. They broke ground and mobilized just after Labor Day back in September.
I drove by. I had to go to Facilities and Grounds maybe a week and a half ago, and I gingerly drove up Central Avenue and went to turn on Court Street, and the look on the flagger's face was like, do you understand where you are? It's a pretty dramatic amount of work you've been able to oversee so far.
Yes, it's a complete roadway reconstruction. So at the time when you were in the area, they were probably box cutting the road to prepare to lay gravels down. So a lot of the subsurface utilities have been replaced, so it is very intrusive of the roadway, and as you noted, their flaggers and detours have been in place to help accommodate some of the construction.
Yeah, you mentioned the subsurface. John Storr and I like to say that there's the idea of a complete street, which in the transportation world is akin to the modes of travel on top of the surface. But I think in a municipal parlance, a complete street reconstruction means subsurface and above ground. So in this case, this project actually began as a water replacement project because there was some water line issues out on Court Street probably 20 years ago, maybe 15 at the closest. And that sort of evolved through public information, public comment about the need to improve the sidewalk connectivity, the need to make sure that there's on-street parking, and to use that as a way to slow down traffic on that, particularly as you get towards the cemetery where it's such a long, straight road. So that project really has evolved from a engineering and design standpoint too. What sort of timeline do you see that project coming on? Jamie was saying that he can't really say, but I assume on the Henry Law, he can't really say, but I assume on this project where you've already got boots on the ground and...
Sure. Yeah, this project is also being constructed in phases. The first phase was, the big emphasis was on replacement of the water main on Court Street, in the area between Central Ave and Union Street, as well as the water main on Union Street between Court Street and Central. That first phase is near completion, and they can plan to continue to work over the winter. And the second phase, I believe there'll be a third phase on the project sometime in late 2026, but ultimately the project should be wrapping up sometime in late spring, early summer of 2027, where SUR will be putting the finishing touches on some of the top course of the pavement and granite curbing and sidewalks and so forth.
So you mentioned Union Street. Is it predominantly the central to Court Street portion of Union Street, or is there work on the Court Street to the dead end portion as well?
It is predominantly the section of Union Street between Central Ave and Court Street. From what I can tell, it seems that the portion of Union Street to the south has been updated in recent years, as there is granite curbing in place, and there is some newer development that's been done in that area, but just focus in that area.
Jamie, what are some of the components of the Henry Law project?
So we are undertaking, much like we did on the waterfront, a very intense project with putting utilities underground as far as overhead utilities. So that's going to continue from the portion that is already in the ground and constructed from the waterfront project out Henry Law, and then going to connect into the network of underground cable, phone, and communications up towards, I believe, Locust Street.
We got underground utilities. We've got pavement reconstruction. We've got drainage. Any elements to the park that are being updated or changed?
So there are some moderate updates to some park lighting. I believe there's some work happening with the gazebos. The stage receives some updated powering, sidewalks, curbing, plantings. Not an extensive amount, but when you disrupt subsurface work, you have to replace it. So it'll be restored to better condition than it is today.
And what about the old skate park on Payne Street? Anything happening with that?
So that's the portion that's where Henry Law project is going to start. That parking lot, as you recall, was obligated for recreational use. It was the former site of the skate park. It'll now serve as a small parking lot, I believe 30 some odd spaces for recreation of the park area. It'll be obligated for recreation of the park area. So that'll have granite curbing and new pavement and so forth to connect in with the Payne Street. And then there'll be some moderate changes to the Riverwalk in that area. The sidewalk will move up onto the roadway, restoring green space and doing a little bit of erosion control on the shoreline area as well.
Right, because we received some federal funding for the erosion and stabilization along the Cachiko, and then there's additional funding through the state for the stormwater management project portion, correct?
That's correct. There's various sources of creative funding that are helping bring this project to fruition.
And Matt, you get to toil with less creative funding because your project was pretty much all funded out of the general fund or out of the water fund. But what are some of the components that I know you mentioned boxing out the road and clearly there's some sidewalk work going on. What else is going on the project?
One of the big upgrades is happening. There's a vast improvement in the stormwater utility infrastructure. There's some sections of the existing roadway on Union and some on Court that lacked stormwater infrastructure in its entirety. So this project is adding numerous deep sump catch basins, new transmission lines that are proper hydraulically sized to handle the necessary flow rates. There's 2 under-drain soil filters being added as part of the stormwater system on the south end of Court Street near the existing facilities and grounds building. One other unique aspect of the stormwater treatment is that every property is receiving a stormwater connection hub where residents are encouraged and can hook up any sump pumps they have, gutter downspouts or yard drains to help convey that water into the stormwater system. And for those residents who may have an improper connection with their sump pump or their stormwater drainage into the sanitary sewer, this provides them a complicit outlet for them to manage that water.
Compliance is a good thing.
Yeah.
So from a pedestrian standpoint, what sort of sidewalk will be constructed or reconstructed on Court Street?
The entirety of Court Street and the area of Union Street that's under construction will receive a brand new 5-foot wide ADA concrete sidewalk with granite curbing throughout the entire project. So that'll be a significant upgrade from what's there currently.
What is the length of the project?
It starts at Central Ave and it goes just over around 5,000 feet. It goes past the existing facilities and grounds and ends just north of Hubbard Road. And Union Street is about a 800-foot stretch.
Sure. And if I recall correctly, one of the things that's been a longstanding concern that we're going to be addressing is the intersection of Back Road and Court Street, where right now it's kind of a Y intersection with a monument in the middle. That'll be adjusted so that it's a T intersection and clarify where the right in, right out, as it were, should be.
That's correct.
Jamie, your project, if I understand correctly, starts at Washington Street, goes the length to Payne Street. One of the components that I think it's worth mentioning is at Squall Point, they'll be putting in I don't want to say a decorative roundabout, but it certainly will be more of an island than, say, the end of Silver Street. Can you describe how that intersection with George and Henry Law will be reconfigured?
So yeah, it'll be a roundabout per se to help control that awkwardness of that intersection. Currently, if you come down Henry Law Avenue, you end up at a stop sign with a Jersey barrier in front of you. So it's going to provide better traffic flow for that intersection, and coming off of Washington Street down Henry Law as well. It's a rather awkward intersection currently, and all the sidewalk improvements in the area will help provide better safety to the pedestrians and whatnot.
And I recall speaking with the city engineer, and she mentioned that the monument that's currently in the little island there will be on the side of the road as opposed to in the middle of the road, so that people will be able to go and read it and celebrate the names inscribed upon it.
That's correct, Chris.
So looking forward, we've got that project. You hope to go out to bid in January and have vendors selected, hopefully early 2026. My words, not yours. They can start construction and do it in phases, and you're going to be cognizant of Apple Harvest Day and other uses of Henry Law Park to the extent we can be. That a pretty good summary of that project?
That sounds pretty accurate, Chris.
And Matt, you've been overseeing SUR for a couple months now, continuing through the winter to do work that they can do, with the hope that about a year from now, you're looking at wrapping up so that in spring of 27, everything's brand new and the warranty period begins.
That's correct, Chris.
Great. Well, I appreciate you both coming down and telling the listener about your projects. These are multi-million-dollar projects. These are huge investments that the community continues to want to make in its infrastructure. And it seems like you both are right on top of it and doing a great job. I appreciate your efforts. Have a great day.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Dover has a wealth of history in its over 400 years of existence. Coming up, Mike Gillis is going to share some of that history with us.
This Week in Dover History is recorded each week at the McConnell Center. I'm reminded each day that the building that now serves as my office and is home to the City of Dover's Media Access Center was also the same building where I attended junior high school. When I was a student here in the early 1980s, one of the teachers I remember most fondly is Dennis Bentley, my English teacher at the time. Dennis Bentley was a passionate and revered teacher and would go on to serve in a variety of roles in subsequent years. Many years after my time at the junior high school, which became the Dover Middle School before the new facility was built on Durham Road, Dennis Bentley would later serve as the middle school's vice principal, and on December 13, 1999, was named principal of Woodman Park School, after serving as interim principal at the school since earlier that year. When Dennis Bentley retired in 2005, he was serving as principal at Garrison Elementary School. While in Dover, he taught every grade between 5 and 12. Bentley's teaching career in Dover began in 1971 as a high school English teacher. He later taught for several years in Manchester and Seabrook before returning to Dover and teaching at the middle school for 18 years. 6 of those years as an assistant principal. He then served as acting Garrison Elementary School principal for a year before becoming principal at Woodman Park School, where he worked for 4 years. Bentley spent the last 2 years as the Garrison Elementary School principal. In 2005, shortly before his retirement, he said he was a month away from completing 3 life goals, all in the same school year: a Patriots win at the Super Bowl, a Red Sox World Series victory, and, most importantly, retirement as an educator after 34 years. When asked in 2005 to reflect on his retirement, he said, quote, "Every once in a while, a former student will come up to you at a public event and let you know what an impact you had on them." Bentley said that was the most satisfying part of teaching. He would also say, quote, "I hope I've made a difference in the life of Dover youth. They certainly have made a difference in my life. For me, I can certainly say he did." Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for listening to the Dover Download this week. If you like what you heard, subscribe through your favorite podcast aggregator. And if you have something you want to hear a topic on, let us know. Finally, this is just one of the many ways we share information about the city of Dover. You can subscribe to the Dover Downloads email newsletter every week or other newsletters that we have by going to the City of Dover homepage, www.dover.nh.gov. Have a great week.